evening, everybody. Welcome to OM Systems YouTube channel. I had a little bit of a worry then because it said no viewers, and then all of a sudden 120 popped up. So I did have a little panic for a second. I hope you had a fantastic festive season, a little bit of a break, and I hope you had an amazing new year wherever you are in the world. I've got an amazing guest tonight. Someone who I haven't seen for such a long time. And before Christmas, we were chatting and I said, you've got to come and do a 2024 wrap up with me, a YouTube live. And he said, I would be more than happy to do that. So without further ado, let's get our amazing guest in. And that is Alexander Koenders. Alexander!
Hey, Claire. Nice to have me. Hi.
Oh, it's so good to see you. I mean, it's been so long. It's been, well, I don't remember. When did we go to Ronda? Was that EM1 Mark II or EM1 Mark 1?
That is the EM Mark 1, I guess. Probably the E3. That's not longer ago. But I guess in 10 years, 8 years, 10 years ago. That's a long time.
Yeah, it is a long time. But didn't we have some fun times? Because Pro Capture was fairly new. And we had those big balloons with the water in them. Do you remember?
Yeah, with the arrow. And we tried to, what did we try to do over there? A lot, because I was the one who led the Birds of Prey festival.
That's right. Yes.
And one of the other colleagues did the bow and arrow with the...
Yes. And then we had the horses running, the balls running. Woo! Yeah. That was a great trip. That was a fantastic trip. So how are you? So how are you? How's things been?
I am fine. A little bit busy. We all had to deal with the corona epidemic for a couple of years. So traveling was not really one of the best things in those years. So I have to catch up a lot, which I did the last couple of years. So I wasn't at home very much. So my wife didn't like me that much the last part of the year. It will be okay again because I will bring her next time to Madagascar and to Iceland, and wherever I go, she will go with me.
So have you got those trips planned this year?
Yes. This year we have, I think, 5 or 6 different places where we are going to play around with our stuff.
This is amazing. I mean,
no, it's lucky me.
I mean, lucky you. Iceland is amazing, but Madagascar is definitely on the hit list. So if you have a question for Alexander as we're going along, pop it into the comments. I will try and get through as many as possible. If not, Alexander and I will go through them probably on Friday just to make sure any comments have been answered. As I said, it's always difficult to do everything at the time when there's just 2 of us. And we know you want to look at some amazing images and get some amazing tips. And obviously, this is why Alexander is here. So what I decided was let's do a sort of 2024 wrap up. And any excuse to show some amazing images, Alexander. That's my feeling. So I always think that's a really good thing to sort of have a look. But before we start, let's have a quick hello from a few people. So we have hello from Sue Howlett from Staffordshire. Stephen Hewitt, good afternoon. We have Tom from Orange County in California. And
that's a long way.
Yeah, a very long way. We have Rafa from Madrid. We have Anthony from Newfoundland in Canada, known as
it's my favorite place.
Is it?
Favorite place. Yeah, Newfoundland is the best place. Oh, you should be there.
Oh,
that's a wonderful place to be.
I'd like to carry your bags if that's okay, Alexander.
No problem. You make an appointment, you go over there to the little town of Elliston, Buena Vista Peninsula. It's wonderful.
Oh, I've always wanted to go to Canada. Gary says hello from Dublin. So we have David from Virginia. We have Malcolm from Nigeria. We have a 40mm life from Poland. I mean, we have all the continents. All the continents. So Sri Lanka and New York. Woo! We'll keep, I mean, it's amazing. But we also have Kurt Bierman. Hello, Alex from Holland, from Netherlands. One of yours. Oh, wonderful, guys. Keep those.
Those people know me already, so.
He probably knows you. He's here to heckle you, I would imagine.
I think so.
Okay. So I am. So tell us a bit about you. You've been an OM ambassador, Olympus/OM ambassador since 2005. How did that all start? Why did you come to OM or Olympus back then?
Well, I was the lucky guy. I've been asked in that period by Martijn Peters, which was the Dutch Olympus boss at that time. And he saw my work and he asked me if I wanted to join the group as an ambassador. And the only thing I asked him is what's going to cost me that honor. And he said, nothing. We provide you with all the stuff you need to make beautiful photographs. And the only thing you have to do is be happy and do what you like to do. And present some pictures once in a while on the socials and in the media. So I started in 2005, May 2005, I guess.
Wow.
And I think I'm one of the first ambassadors in Olympus that time.
Yes.
I'm not really sure, but I think so.
Wow, that's great. And you're still loving the system?
I'm still in love with the system, yeah. There's nothing wrong with the system. There's sometimes something wrong with the photographer, but never not with the system. And especially in my field, wildlife photography, it's and we all know the period that we had to bring our tripods and our 5-kilo gear with us into the jungle, and those days are gone. And the only thing I can say is the system is getting better every year, and the future the system bringing every time is helping us a lot with getting better pictures. And more difficult pictures. So I stay with the OM system. No reason to go away anywhere.
Well, we love you. As I said, after 20 years, you're still making a living. I'm assuming you're over to the OM1 Mark II now. You've sort of upgraded and you've gone over.
Yes. I had the OM1 and then the Mark II. The problem is I always have 2 cameras with me, so I tried a couple of months to work with both of them, one camera, one OM1 and one Mark II.
Yeah.
But at the end, I bought myself a second OM2, so now my case is full with OM2 and the new lenses and all that kind of stuff.
Nice.
And I love it. I mean, it's so nice to have equipment with such low weight to travel around, that I often only use one lens, for example. When I go away, I take one lens, I take 2 bodies, just for in cases if something happens. And it makes life so easy, not to turn around everything you have at home. Just make your choice, bring it with you and go photographing with that stuff. And that brings you better pictures and a whole lot of called rest. You don't feel the urge to change all the time. Lens A, lens B, lens C. Just pick one lens, pick one camera and go out.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, well, I think we should start the presentation. Let's have a look at these amazing images. Now, apologies to everyone. I'm producing myself. I'm a little slow because I have to make sure I'm pressing all the buttons and don't press the stop button, which means everything completely goes out of the window. Yeah, it's working. It's working. I hope you can all see it. A couple of things. I'm going to be putting up some banners as we go along. For instance, this one here links out to our events page. There are our events page is a global page. But again, if I did see someone say, oh, there's not so much stuff going on in the US, take a look at that events page. Obviously, it's early January, and sometimes there tends to be a little bit of a quiet period after the sort of holiday season. So do keep in mind to keep refreshing and come back every week, because all of a sudden someone will go on and they'll put, like me, I'll do like 10 in one go rather than, because it's quite a process to put them on. So keep in mind that the events page is updated pretty regularly, and we do try and keep that up ongoing. I am also going to do a poll if I remember how to do it. So keep your eyes on that as well. But don't hold me to it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to jump straight in and move it to a picture? Because people want to see images. Talk to me about this image. Tell me what you love about it, Alexander, and how you managed to get it.
I always try to make my own Christmas cards. And so the whole year when I'm going anywhere or to some places, I always try to make a picture which I can use for a Christmas card. And this one was Sterling sitting in my own garden. And it's really hard to picture or to get a photograph of a Sterling with all those beautiful colors, but also with a background which fits the colors of that Sterling.
Yeah.
So it took me some while to sit down and to find out which background in my garden would be suitable, and then hoping for the moment the Sterling was going to sit over there. The last one is not that easy or that difficult as long as you know how Sterlings move and what they really like. So put a little bit of food on a certain place, put a branch on a certain place, and then it's waiting for the moment that comes. And here I really loved the fact that Sterling was looking up, looking to the skies, which gave him a beautiful bluish throat, which brought more color to the palette as I expected in front. So that's the reason why I really like this picture. Not because the bird is so special, but the photo makes the bird special.
You're absolutely right. Starlings from the side on look very dark, very black, but the color, when you get that correct angle, is incredible. The greens and the lilacs and the purples. I think starlings are a very underrated bird, right? People go for the puffins and the bright, but these are, I mean, obviously in the UK we have a lot of them, but they're absolutely beautiful, aren't they? And very clever birds. They're really intelligent birds.
They are really smart. They are capable of doing things that we always think that crows and ravens are capable of doing it, but starlings are doing the same things when given the opportunity.
And this was taken on an OM1 Mark II?
OM1 Mark II, and with the new lens who was brought out that time, well, the new lens, the 150-600, which was pretty new. So I had the honor and the opportunity to try the lens, and well, this was the picture which came out of it.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Picture which is really fun, and like I said, I use it as a Christmas card. So I'm wondering what I'm going to do this year for it will be hard.
Well, yeah, it depends on the trips you go on, right? So
yeah, it depends on the trips. But often you see the best pictures in your own garden where you have the time.
Sure.
And when you know your environment, it's going to be much easier to put a common bird like this one in a beautiful position and to make a different kind of picture.
Interestingly, we have a question from Charles. Let me just take that banner off because it's very annoying. There you go. Charles asks, the image of the bird, it was shot with 3200 ISO. Did you use noise reduction? And, if you did, which software did you use?
Everything I do in Adobe Photoshop. So Lightroom and Photoshop. My favorite is Photoshop. And I use the noise reduction of Photoshop itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, at 3200, you're probably not going to need too much noise reduction, especially on an OM1 Mark II, because the ISOs have got that much better, right?
Well, the Mark One of the OM1 and the Mark II are such different cameras with the ones we had in the early days.
Yeah.
So until 3200, it's not really necessary to use noise reduction unless you're going to crop a lot from the picture. So you have to take the picture as it is and don't crop 50% away, because then you see a little bit of noise. But otherwise, you don't need a noise reduction for pictures like this with full.
Yeah. Perfect. Wonderful. Right. Well, let's go to the next image. And we've got, this looks like Norway or Iceland or somewhere beautiful. Take me there. Where is it?
It could be Scotland. It could be even Ireland, but it is Iceland. And well, I did a trip with a couple of customers together with my fellow ambassador to Iceland. And the beauty of Iceland is that the island has several kinds of weather moments within the hour. So that the one moment you have sun, the next moment within the hour you get snow or rain or whatever. And what I really liked in this picture is that in this picture, everything comes together. You get the wonderful gray and rainy clouds above the mountain ranges. And you still see a lot of sunlight peeping under the clouds, which gave that beautiful light. And I love the moment. I normally never make a picture with a building or with human beings in it. But here I think the building makes you see how big the country is, how big the landscape is, and how lost you can be in Iceland, just living by your own in that little farm over there.
I mean, it's imagine living there. I mean, I live in a built-up town, right? And you know, the thought of living there just is so exciting because the light changes every second, the landscape changes every second. It's just whenever I go to these places, I always dream of living and then I come home.
You have to imagine that at the moment we flew in, the customers asked if the volcano was still active. And as far as I knew, at the moment we departed from Amsterdam, the volcano was quiet after a couple of weeks of bursting. But at the moment we flew over Reykjavik, the customers on the window side saw the volcano bursting out again. So imagine that my first picture is not the volcano, but it's this one, because I found this one so much more beautiful than that volcano bursting out.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, it really does sort of, the small building looks small in comparison to the scale of the image. It's just absolutely beautiful. So I love it. And are you going back to Iceland this year? Have you another trip planned?
There is a new trip planned in June. Yeah, we always go in June, end of May, June, because in Iceland, everything but flowers will be blooming. There will be a lot of birds nesting. It's the better time for photography, I think. So that will be, in June again, an 8-day trip.
And I've put up the website where people can go and look at your travel workshops and your workshops at home, and you know, everybody can take a screenshot of that. So that's where people can come and book and sort of look at what you're doing and what you've got coming up for the next year, 2 years. I assume you book 2 years in advance, do you?
Well, I have to be honest. Tom and I did plan a trip to Kenya in 2026, and we did put it in. I guess it was September or October. We put it on the socials, and within 2 days it was fully booked. And that's a trip for over 2 years. I mean, it's very hard to not getting the trips full. It's always a shame for people who come too late. Sometimes it happens.
Yeah, I mean, and it is that thing. You can't take hundreds of people. You have to take small groups, nice, intense photography training, smaller groups. And like you say, you know, you can't be away 365 days of the year. So people have got to get on early and book the trips, haven't they?
Yeah,
so
that's true.
Right, let's have a look at your next image. Oh, beautiful. Is this the one where you can walk behind it?
Yes, that's the one where you can walk behind it, but not that day.
Not that day. I mean, you only have one person in your image. When I there were about 50 people in my image. I couldn't get people out of the way. So is this early morning or?
No, it is during the day, but we had a very nice windy conditions. That means that the waterfall was blowing all sides. So everyone who was standing too close to the waterfall would get soaking wet. So that was our luck. It's one of the first times that I could make a picture of the waterfall without too many people in front of it or behind it. But as I said, walking behind this waterfall is really, really cool, especially when you get early or later on the day, because you have to be aware of the light. The light is not always, especially when you have sun over there. It's a harsh place to make a beautiful photograph. But it's one of the most beautiful places of Iceland within the golden triangle, as they call it. The only problem what I have right now with that part of Iceland, it's always busy. Like you said, there are always people.
coaches of tourists.
Coaches of tourists, yeah. And so within the golden triangle, making photographs without people is almost impossible. So I rather take my customers away from the golden triangle, so much further south, much further north, where you see similar waterfalls. I mean, this is not the only one. This is one of the most photographed waterfalls because it's very close to Reykjavik.
Yes.
But it's a place, especially when you see no people, stop and make this picture, because it's really, really a beautiful place to play around.
Yeah.
It's a picture where I use my second favorite lens, the 1200, which is my travel lens. When I go without cameras, you can imagine what my wife wants to go with me for a weekend or a week to whatever place. She doesn't like me to bring my whole bag with goodies. So the only thing I bring then is my OMD1 Mark II and my 1200, because with the 1200 I can photograph nearly everything. Yeah.
Anything. You're absolutely right. 12-100, 40-152A are my top two lenses. And it is that lens, although it's a little bit bigger than the 1240, one lens does pretty much everything, unless you're doing specific birds in flight and that. But the 12-100 is the lens where I take it for everything. In fact, I shot the EM1X with the 12-100 at this exact place. But Iceland has over like 10,000 waterfalls. So you're absolutely right. When you're on a workshop, you tend to, the tourist things are great to have a look at, but actually sometimes going away from the tourist things enables you to get a much more professional image, right?
And it's cheaper, because within the Golden Triangle, you have to pay for everything. You have to pay for your parking place. You have to pay to be able to get to the waterfalls. In early days, it wasn't that way, but Iceland had some problems with banking, I guess, before Corona. So now they have to find out a kind of earning the money, and they do it like this. So at the moment you leave the Golden Triangle, you will see that things are free again. You can walk to waterfalls without paying or stuff like that.
Yeah. Interesting. So we've got a few questions. We have a great question from Tom Caruso. Why has that not come up? Tom, I'm sorry. I think I might have messed you around there. Oh, not that one. Sorry, guys. How have I done that? Oh, there we go. I don't know what I did there. Tom says, I'm leaving for Antarctica in 10 days. I have the 40-150 2.8, the 300 f4 Pro lenses. Would it be better to get the 100-400? And would these be acceptable lenses for Antarctica?
To be honest, the lenses you have are the best ones you can get. Keep them.
Yeah.
You don't need another lens. I mean, it's the 300 Pro lens is a wonderful lens. The 40-150 is perhaps one of the best lenses ever made by OM Systems.
Yeah.
And the 100-400 is a nice lens, really a nice lens, because you only have one lens where you can do a lot with. But it's you have the best of the best, so keep it.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. I mean, it's always nice to have those zooms. The 40-150, you just can't beat it. Even with a 2x converter, you just don't lose any sharpness. It's so amazing. And the 300, of course, you can put the teleconverter on that as well. Maybe you need to think about something wider for landscapes. I'm not sure if you mentioned that. These are great for wildlife, but maybe something a little wider if you want the landscape, because in Antarctica, of course, you've got those beautiful, again, sort of shooting to scale type images. What's your wide angle lens of choice, Alexander?
I had the 8mm fisheye, but I didn't use them anymore. Now I have the 740. That one. Yeah, that's the one I use a lot. But also, to be honest, over that, I never feel the urge to get a lens as wide as possible. Often I find myself climbing into the landscape. And I do a lot with my 150-400 also. Yeah. You will see that later on, because I really like it to get little bits out of the landscape. But in Antarctica, a wide angle lens would be perfect with all those icebergs, with all those beautiful colors you will see over there. So consider bringing a wide angle lens.
Yeah, maybe the 12-100 would be the one, right? Would be that extra one that would be the perfect companion, I think, maybe. Because 12's wide enough, right?
12 is wide enough. It's really wide enough, yeah. Will be 24 in full frame. equivalents, but it's
sure.
wide enough. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, especially there. Hent Goosen says, Alexander, did you ever visit Sri Lanka? If not,
No.
I will take you to a beautiful national park with lots of birds and wildlife.
I have to be honest, I never thought about Sri Lanka. And one of my friends just came back from Sri Lanka and he said, this is the place you have to go to. So perhaps in 26, we will plan a trip to Sri Lanka. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yes.
And thank you for the invitation because I love birds.
So again, guys, I mean, I did see it. There were a couple of people saying, I've been on your website. Your trips are all booked out. You know, obviously with any of these workshops, you tend to plan a year in advance, right? Because you need to get the things booked. It's quite a big thing to plan out these big trips abroad. There's insurances and making sure everybody. So how long do you put your trips up before they're going to happen? I assume a few months.
The problem was that I had a travel agency before Corona, but due to Corona, I decided to quit that travel agency because we had a whole lot of liabilities with the states and things which were organized in Europe on this one way and in the States on another way. So we lost a lot of money in that period.
Right. Yeah.
And I wasn't planning to start up any agency anymore. But we got so many questions from people all around. They said, but I still like to go with you on a trip. So I started the first trip last year for the first time in many years. And so we are starting up again. And we do that with 4 trips a year right now. But it's scaling up. It's really scaling up. And I really don't know what we are going to do next year. Will it be 8 trips or 9 trips? Yeah. Depends, because I'm only one person and I can only bring as much people as I'd be able. And I don't like to go with big groups. And the reason for big groups is that I don't have the time in a big group to give everyone the attention they deserve in a trip like this.
I absolutely agree. The smaller groups mean everybody gets what they're paying for. Yeah. They all get some tuition. They all get the great shots. They all get to sort of spend time. And I think it is important to have those smaller groups for sure.
Correct.
Okay, quick question about this image that we're showing now. What time of day was this photograph taken?
As you can see at the sunlight, it will be around midday, 11 o'clock, midday, 1 o'clock, something about that.
Yeah, perfect. Right, we're going to go to another image before we go to some more questions. Otherwise, we won't get the images through. So this is shot on the 150 to 400. What a beautiful lens that is. I mean...
that is in early days, I always had fixed lenses, so the 300 millimeters. And,
okay.
But I did quit with them, and not because they are not great, because they are great lenses, but I really love to be able to zoom. I really love to be able to change the composition in the field whenever I like, and that's much more easier with a zoom lens. But the zoom lens has to be of a quality almost equal to a prime lens. And I really think that 150-400 is perhaps as good as any prime lens we ever had before.
Right.
And that means that this is my favorite lens. I think that 80% of my pictures are shot with this lens. Landscapes, macro, bird, wildlife, whatever. This is the lens I use the most.
Yeah. Yeah, I absolutely
awfully
agree.
light. It weighs almost nothing. So together with your camera, you are able to make shots until perhaps 1+ seconds by night photography, which is almost impossible with another system. Because it's so light, you don't need tripods. I have them always hanging around my body. And at the moment I see something, I pick it up and right away I make my picture. Especially with the bird eye recognition, that is really, really wonderful. That's one of the magic moments I had to discover with the first OM1 series. Never a failure and always sharp on the eyes. And that's why I brought this picture. I love the background. I love the lightning. We had a little bit of clouding, so the sun was covering up. Otherwise, you see a lot of problems with the whites in birds like this and the blacks. Yeah. But if you look correctly, you see the eye, you see a lot of detail in the blacks, you see a lot of detail in the whites, and that's that's perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it is absolutely stunning. And like you say, the evolution from the EM1X to the OM series when it comes to bird detection, woo, what a difference, eh? What a difference.
Yeah, it's almost easy.
Do you use the HL? Did you use the grip when you use the OM1?
Not anymore. In early days, I did. I thought it was a little bit small, but the OM1 and the OM Mark II are just fine the way they are. And I don't like to add any more weight anymore. I like the little weight this camera with the lens has already. And on the moment I put a grip on it again, it gets a little bit more weighty. It gets a bit more off balance. I like it the way it is.
Yeah. See, I vary. Sometimes when I'm using the 150-400 or the 150-600 for long periods of time, then I like that extra balance. So it depends on what I'm doing. You know, if I've got a small lens on, then I don't tend to, but it can vary. So I just wondered if because going from the EM1X to talking about bird recognition, it made me think, well, that's got a grip. I wondered if you transferred the HLD10 over, you know.
I would have to say I had to get used to a little camera without a battery pack or without an extra grip, because the 1X was a monster. It was such a big camera. And when I'm out in the field and I still have a 1X and I will use a 1X, people seems to think I'm a real photographer. And at the moment I take my OMD Mark I, they think I have a toy camera in my hand or something like that. But no, for me, less weight is the most important thing. And I always have my hand below the tripod, they call it in English. The thing with the Arca Swift thing. Yes. I always hold my lens like this, and then I have no problem with balancing at all. But it's every person reacts differently on that.
Yeah, for sure. So if you want to follow Alexander Koenders, you need to go to Facebook, and it is Alexander Koenders Wildlife Photography. He has two Facebooks. One's his private one, and this one is where you'll get to see all the amazing images. You got thousands and thousands of followers. So keep that in mind, guys. It is Alexander Koenders Wildlife Photography. If you want to check out a back catalogue and gallery and all the images that Alexander shot, his website is www.alexanderkoenders.com. Nice and easy. I will sort of keep scrolling those through as we go along, and I'll also put them in the chat as we're talking. Let's take a look at another image while I have a look to see what's in the comments. Oh, lovely bit of backlight there. Tell us about this image.
You have to imagine you bring a couple of customers to Iceland. I myself don't have the time to photograph a lot because I'm busy with my customers. And I always wonder how it comes that a lot of people can sit along a shore and not seeing the moments which are making a photograph special. People are often too late. They are not always looking at their subject, and they're not recognizing what should or could happen at the moment you're looking at, like this, the eider duck. The eider duck was drinking a little bit, was behaving like a way that I said, well, he's going to get out of the water and he's going to dry his wings or whatever. He just went down to eat some mussels or whatever. So he came up with the black eyes in the background, and the only thing I did was laying on my stomach, low angle, searching for the bird, and I made this picture with all those little water drops like little diamonds getting off of the bird. And from the Iceland trip, I really think this is one of my most beautiful pictures I've took over there. And I know some people from the island group are looking right now, and well, people, this is the one you have missed. Sorry.
Yeah. It is that thing where it may be a simple bird, you know, with ducks and geese and that people send, like a bit like the starling. They're almost underlooked because people always look for that rare bird, the one that, you know, is not seen often. But look at the feather detail and the color. And if you like birds, these are just as exciting as a puffin or a hoopoo. or any of those exciting.
Yeah, and but I really think that changed a lot within our systems is that the dynamic range in early days wasn't so good as it is right now. I mean, you see here a photograph of a bird against the light, so with light coming from the background, and you still see a lot of detail in the black parts of the head, black part of the body, and also in the whites. And I really think that's amazing.
So Claire Williams, who is a very good friend of mine, says, beautiful. I love eider ducks. And that's really great. We love that too. Excuse me. I'm going to go to the next image. Again, this was shot on the 150 to 400. Couple of people asking, would you choose the 300 over the 150 to 400? I mean, I know we've just sort of talked about it, but when you've got the quality of the 300 in a zoom, I know it's a lot more money, but there's that payoff, right? But with the 150 400, there's no payoff, is there? It's all very high quality.
It's very high from the beginning to the end. It's very high quality. We have no any loss in sharpness when you use the whole 400 mils. I wouldn't trade my 150 400 for a 300. No.
Interesting. Very interesting. But again, it's down to budget, right? If you've only got 300 mil budget money, you are not going to miss out because that lens is still a cracker.
And it's also, what are you going to do with your photographs? I mean, a lot of people take photographs and put them on socials, which is okay, because I also love to share my experiences with you folks. But socials are not the place to share real quality. Yeah. So when I put photos like this in a lecture and I put them on a big screen on a 4K or in 8K television, I want to be damn sure that my pictures are razor sharp and there are no faults in it. And that's why I choose for better quality.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. A really good comment from Linda. Linda says, I recommend a second body if you're going out to these crazy places like Antarctica and these once in a lifetime opportunities. Getting a second body is pretty sensible, right?
Worse, I always think that when you go to places like Antarctica or going into the desert or going into the jungle, it's also would be a great idea to have two bodies. One body with a big angle lens, a 1200, for example, and another body with a tele. So you don't have to change lenses in those circumstances because those weather conditions over there, cold and warm, are going to do something with your equipment. And you have to imagine when you go to Antarctica, you're sitting in the ship, and in the ship it's a nice 21 degrees, and getting out it's a very cold minus 15, minus 10, minus 5, whatever. So every time you have to change lenses or to do anything, that camera will get hit by the severe conditions where you're working in. And the second camera, where you don't have one, and like my first trip to Hokkaido, I dropped my bag out of the bus and it fell on the ground. My lens broke off from my camera, and I had, thank God, I had a second camera and a second lens. Otherwise, I had a very expensive holiday and nothing to shoot photos with. So that's another reason to
just bring memories.
A second.
Just memories.
Painful memories. But that brought me also that I learned in that trip that you don't always need a lot of lenses to make beautiful photographs. You need to understand the equipment you have with you and to work with that equipment to make the photographs that equipment are making or are making you able to make.
Yeah, absolutely interesting. It's a really good question from Orlando. He says, why not the 12-200 instead of the 12-100? Well, Orlando, they are completely different lenses. The 12-200 is a great travel lens. It's your city break, pop it on, will cover everything, but it doesn't have the aperture range of the 12-100. It's not as bright, but also it doesn't have what we call image sync. Now, there are 5 lenses in our lineup that have image sync. That's the 90mm, the 12-100, the 150 to 400 and the 300. And basically, did I say 5 or 4? Image sync is where you have a piece of floating glass that mimics the sensor movement. So when the sensor is using image stabilization, it's moving and then it locks in. This piece of glass that's in the lens mimics that movement. So you're getting an extra step of EV. And so that technology is a bit more expensive, but it does enable you to shoot with much longer lenses handheld, nighttime, all that type of thing. So image sync is actually really important, and it is amazing tech. So that is the difference between the 12-200 and the 12-100.
Totally
right, let's go on.
That's totally truth.
Yes, thank you. Let's have a look at the next. Oh, the colors, like, literally are wow. Tell us about this image.
There's a little island in the German northeast, German part of the northeast, called Helgoland. It used to be Heligoland when it was British, just after the war. And in early days, it was Scandinavian. It was an island where pirates roam. And on that little island, we have a gannet colony. And for me, living in the Netherlands, it's the most accessible colony. And it's a colony where you can get very close to your subjects, meters, without disturbing the birds, because birds are really used to lots of people coming over to that island. And the only thing you need is beautiful light and a beautiful moment. And the beauty of that island is, you see it at the back of this picture, the island is red because there's a lot of iron in the rock. And that reddish color makes a picture like this a little bit different from the gannets you can shoot in Scotland or in Britain or in Ireland.
Yes.
So the light conditions, and also again the dynamic range, which made this picture full of detail and full of different colors, make me enjoy this moment. Again, with a group of people, a whole lot of people standing over there. You try to explain to them, just focus on one bird, because there are thousands of birds flying and landing over there, but just focus on one bird and take all your time. You're sitting all the day on the bloody rock. Just focus on one bird and make those pictures that really value. And then you get fighting gannets like this.
I mean, the colors, the orange really does help the bird. I mean, I know any color in the background would have helped, but it just blends with that tone of the yellows. It's on the same scale, right, on the same Pantone, and it's absolutely beautiful. I mean, clear and sharp and absolutely beautiful, and taken on the 12-100 again.
Well, that's 12-100, so not with the big lens, but with the 1200, which is a beautiful lens also for this kind of photography.
Yeah, absolutely. Robin has reminded me, I said 5 lenses. Sync IS is also on the 150 to 600.
No, 5600. That's correct.
I knew there was another one. Thanks, Robin. And it is interesting that when you look at the 150 to 600, it is, a couple of $1,000, pounds, euros cheaper than the 150-400. And so it is a bit heavier. It does extend a bit more, but you're getting a very, very, very similar quality and image to the 150-400 at 4,000 euros cheaper, right? So, and you use that lens as well, don't you?
I used that lens as well, yeah. That was the Starling in the first picture we saw. That was shot with 150-600. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, quick stuff from my side. We are doing a New Year sale, and we have 35% off reconditioned cameras and lenses. I've put the link in the chat. If you did cashback, winter cashback, just to let you know, you've only got until the 26th of the 1st to claim your purchase. So you'll claim the cashback. So it's really important, because some of those cashbacks were hundreds and hundreds of pounds. So just a little reminder, if you did buy something in the last cashback, you've only got a couple of weeks to get your claim in. And the other thing is, we are doing a trade up to OM System. So you can actually get £450 off the OM1 or the kit. And there is a little code which says OM1 trade up. I'm going to actually put that in the chat, Control C. So keep that in mind. As I said, it's that thing where you think, oh, if I wanted a second body, shall I do this and do that? So, there are options there. I'm going to actually put that code in for the trade in, but I've also put the link in. So again, if you want to go and have a little wander around the store, the link is in there. Okay, let's take another image. I don't know how many images we're up to. Oh, look at the light on that. Same place.
Same place. Just focusing on the same bird just before dropping in. A little bit of luck that the sun was just peeking around the red rock, so you don't see the red rock anymore in the back. It's just now it looks like a deep black pitch where he's flying in, but that golden stripes along the wings and the tail, and still enough light to get out the head like it is, made this picture for me a wonderful picture.
Yeah. What time of day was this? Is this sort of golden hour?
It's late on. This is 2 hours before sunset.
Wow. I mean, it's beautiful. You do tend to see a lot of the birds like this sort of fighting and in that, but that is, yeah, it's golden. It's so beautifully lit. And again, with the 12-100.
Yeah. You don't need a big, expensive lens to take photos like this. You need to know the place where to go to when you have lesser millimeters.
Yeah, that's for sure. So Janet asks, are you using a tripod for all these beautiful bird photos?
No, I never use a tripod anymore. The only time I use a tripod is when I'm going to photograph the Milky Way or the Northern Lights, where I need more than seconds to be able to make the picture. And otherwise, until I think even with night photography in the city, up to 1 or 2 or 3 seconds, I will do it out of hand without any tripods.
Yes,
that's thanks to our image stabilizers, which we have in our cameras and in the lenses.
For sure, the best in the world. Janet's got another good question. Do you set the ISO, or are you letting it take itself? Because I noticed the ISO varies on the images. Is it you just going to is it auto, or do you start?
No, I pick up my ISO the way I like it at the moment. I'm going to photograph. I never use auto ISO.
Okay. And you're like, no, this is the one I want. This is how I like it. That's it.
Yeah. And you see often that I take pictures from still sitting subjects with higher ISO. And that has everything to do with the fact that I'm always hoping up a little bit of action. So I always want to have a shutter speed of which is fast enough to be able to freeze that action at the moment it happens. So I do not always turn back my ISO when I'm sitting photographing different other things.
Yeah, for sure. And is this pro capture, or is this you just going completely?
No, this is just following and taking it on. I use pro capture a lot, but always on places where I know the birds are coming and flying away from, like places where they find a lot of food or where they're going to drink. Those are the places where I use pro capture.
Yeah, for sure. Loads of questions coming in. People are warming up now. Do you shoot in full manual? Are you you're a full manual guy? You like to choose your aperture and your shutter speed?
Yeah.
That's years of experience, Alexander, isn't it?
Yeah, it's coming out, seeing the light, and knowing what to do. And that's something like being able to read the notes of music. Right. You have to learn it, and it takes a long time to be able to know and to turn the conditions which you see outside in usable ISOs and apertures and so on.
And what about metering? What's your choice of metering? Do you go for the full 37?
Central.
Okay.
Always central. Never full, never point, always central.
Wow. Again, that's really interesting. What if your subject is to the left of the image? What do you do then? Say it's not central. Same.
The same, central, always central.
Yeah. Okay, good to know. I love that, because people use different meterings, different settings, and it's always good because you've got to find your own way, right? There is a bit of, it's easy to copy someone else, but actually finding how it works for you, right, is
there's so many different ways to get the same picture. And so what you said, you need to find your own path.
Yes.
And if you like to shoot everything with aperture, go ahead. There is nothing wrong. The only thing which is wrong, if you're going to do things you don't understand, and the picture is going to get wrong.
Yeah.
So make it easy and find your own path. And there's nothing better, nothing worse, nothing. Just find your own path.
Well, I mean, you've been an OM ambassador for 20 years. I mean, and your trips are fully sold out. So you're obviously doing something right, Alexander.
I hope so.
Okay. Oh, beautiful. Tell me about this.
As I said, I really like to use one lens as much as possible. So when I go out for a walk, and this was taken in the Pantanal in last November, and in early morning I decided to make a walk, and then I only bring my 150-400 and an OMD 1 Mark II with me, and then I see a dragonfly like this sitting on a branch, and I choose to photo stack the dragonfly. There's something we have in our bodies. You can make a choice between 8 and 15 different depths of depth of field, where your camera will do automatically changes that while taking the picture, and then in the end it makes a photo stacked picture like this. And then you can see that I turn my big lens into a macro lens. It's not really macro, but no point to take my 90 millimeters.
Yeah, it's a telemacro.
It's a telemacro,
we massively promote telemacro. And again, this looks like he's got little boots on. He looks like he's got some boots on his back, on his
I have no idea what kind of animal it is, but it was sitting just on the opposite side of the dragonfly. So I was a little bit hoping that the dragonfly would find this little pajama-like fly and perhaps eat it or something like that, but it didn't happen. So I had to take this picture.
Okay. And I mean, anybody out there know what it is? It looks like a wasp or a hornet of some sort.
It's not stinging thing, but it is. Yes. I really don't know what it is. No idea.
Okay, interesting to know. Yolanda said that code's not working. Yolanda, I'll drop you a message afterward just to make sure. We've still got lots of images to go through, and I realized it's 10 to 6. I've been chatting away. Again,
that should be.
That's beautiful. What is this? Well, I know it's a snake, but what's not a snake?
They call it a parrot snake.
Okay.
It's a non-poisonous snake in South America, which can get many colors. You get eagle green ones or brown ones, or a species like this with a lot of different colors. It's an animal which is not so hard to photograph at the moment you find it, because it will lay down and just sit there and waiting for you to get away again. And then for me, it's time to wait until that little tongue comes out and then trying to make that picture. And so I do that with burst, because picture in picture you will never be able to get that tongue on that certain place. So in this case, I use burst 10 or 12 photo frames a second to get a picture like this.
Yes, that would have been a pro capture job for me. I'd have been like, right, full burst, full pro capture. But again, beautiful colors and a lovely background. Absolutely gorgeous background. Let me have a look at the next shot. Oh, I love the purple. Where is this taken?
This is also the Pantanal.
Okay.
All pictures from now are taken in the Pantanal. Pantanal is a huge wetland in Brazil. At the lower, at the feet of the mountain ranges over there. And here's what I told you before, that I really like to use my long lens to also take bits and bytes out of the landscape. And in this case, there were a couple of guams. There's a male and a female, and you can see that I used the 150 400 on 400 mil, so the distance is really huge, and still I get a picture where I was able to put animals in their natural environment without having a busy background, but detail enough to let's see where they live and what they do.
Yeah, I mean, they're absolutely stunning, aren't they? I mean, just absolutely beautiful. I mean, I love these. I love the fact it's purple in the background. It almost looks like sort of Scottish heather. I know it's not, but it's beautiful. Yeah, I love it. We've had an answer, we think, from a robber fly, Wilma says. Thanks, Wilma. We like
Thanks.
that.
I will put it on my picture. I will look it up again, but rubber fly could be possible. Yeah. Thank you.
A rubber fly. We love that. Okay. Oh, wow. Now, what a shot. The reflection is, it doesn't even look real. It does not look real.
But it was a real caiman.
Wow. And in the Pantanal, I said you again, wow, what an absolutely incredible image.
What I really liked here is that the boat driver we had was a man who knows what photographers really expect from him and what he must do. So he automatically put the boat in the best place for the light to be convenient. And it was a very fragile boat, a very wibbly boat, so you couldn't move too much without getting the feeling that the boat would turn around. But I still had to was able to manage to put my camera over the side of the boat, just above the water place, to make this shot with the long lens and with the OMD and with the little screen popped up so that I could see it from the up if I got my subject in the composition as I wanted to have him. And also here again, the dynamic range from our cameras are beautiful. In every part of the caiman, you see detail, and depending on how you have configured your screen at home. But I really like this picture, especially also from the reflection in the water.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it actually doesn't look real. It's so good that it doesn't look real. It's so beautiful in color. I mean, is there a crop to this, or is that you've done it as is? No.
I think what I've did is 5%. I think I took off a little of 5%, nothing more. No.
Yeah. Yeah.
The next one is a huge scrub.
Oh, shall we go? I'm ready.
Yeah.
Ah, wow. What type of bird is this?
It's called an agami heron. And they are very elusive. And a lot of birders have this bird high on their list when they go to South America to photograph birds.
Wow. I mean, it looks like a heron, of course.
It is a heron.
The colors are unbelievable.
He is beautiful. He is unbelievable beautiful. And the reason why I took this shot is I think it's 50% of the original. So I cropped out 50%. And though I used high ISO 3200, we have still enough detail to make a portrait of the bird. So it shows it little feathers on his head, like a mohawk hairdress. The beautiful purples and bluish and orange colors. It's a beautiful bird to see. We were lucky. We saw it three evenings in a row. So we had a lot of time to photograph it. But like I said, you have to get close to make a photograph like this, and they are very elusive and very shy.
Yes, for sure. Wow, I'm just sort of flying through some images because we chatted so much that I was like, we may not get through that. Wow, look at the eyes on that otter.
The giant otter.
It's an
otter. A giant otter.
A giant, so they're literally sort of a couple of meters big, or
they are a couple of meters big, and they are not afraid of jaguars at all. So they are in a family, and they spot a jaguar on the shore, they will kick his ass whenever they get the opportunity to do so. We had a couple of jaguars in the water, and they were attacked from below, and that was a whole family of giant otters going down and eating their feet and biting them in the stomachs, and then so the jaguars were completely freaked out over there. Wow. But the fun part of this is that the fastness that the autofocus system is following a full speed swimming otter without losing his sharpness and focus on the eyes was really a beautiful moment to experience, because they are really fast swimmers.
And again, the reflection just makes the picture. It's absolutely, you've got a nice high shutter speed for that one, so everything's crisp. And like you say, the AI. Which AI did you use on this one? Did you use cat and dog, or did you?
No, bird. Always bird.
Always bird.
Birds does the magic from everything. I mean, you can change to dog or to animals, but as long as the camera sees an eye, it will focus on the eye.
Yeah, we had a good tip, helicopter mode for damselflies and dragonflies.
Yeah. Correct.
You know, there's a whole variant of opportunities to use different sort of features. Now that is a class. So just so you know, guys, I never look at the images before I have a guest because I like to see them fresh. So I'm seeing them on this big screen that you can't see, just as you're seeing them. And that is an awesome shot. What an action shot. Did you use Pro Capture for this?
No, because
No.
it's a dart, an American dart, and the bird is going down, and then it comes up anywhere. You don't know where. And when you're lucky, he has something to eat, and in this case, he had a fish. And
Nice.
the only thing I have to do is to point, and to shoot, and to make the picture. But also, this one is a crop of what you see is 40% of the original.
Okay.
So I took a whole part, I took off. And yes, I used noise reduction in Adobe Photoshop and nothing else. And that's what you get with 3200 ISO, but using a full crop. And when you look at the background, it's blackish. Normal when you have noise right. Especially comes out in the dark parts of a photograph.
Yeah.
And nothing of it here.
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely beautiful shot. And it's incredible because, like you say, there's dark in the background and almost like a spotlight of light coming down on the...
That's the jungle. That's beauty of the jungle. You need to be a little bit lucky with those conditions. When the sun is really up, it's harsh light and you won't get pictures like this. So it's the early morning or the late afternoon where you can make pictures like this, where the background will really drop off in blackish and a little bit green. Beautiful.
Yeah. And the light is just not so contrasty. You get the color, you get the detail. The light is that little bit softer, isn't it? So it enables you to pick up detail and things like that. It's absolutely beautiful. So when are you going back to the Pantanal? Have you got one trip this year or?
No, this year is Madagascar. So this year is Ireland, Iceland, the Netherlands, of course, Madagascar, and perhaps and Sweden.
Oh, nice. Sweden's lovely as well, isn't it? Yes, the honey buzzards. I went for the honey buzzards last year. Couldn't believe how many I saw in one go. They just kept flying over and over. It was amazing. I was like, when are they going to stop? We just had Tesney and David Tippett, who are UK ambassadors. They just come back from Madagascar. So we are doing a talk with Tesney, I think, in March. She's got so many images to go through. We said, let's do it in March. Yes.
Has to be beautiful.
I'm looking forward to seeing those Madagascar images. The event is up if anybody wants to join. Right, let me just see how many images I've got so that we've still got a couple to go. And then we can have a quick look at any questions. Wow, again, beautiful bird in flight there.
Yeah, easy one. Green heron. Not that difficult to photograph with the equipment we have now today. In the early days, it was a little bit more difficult. I really like the depth of field with the big lens. You see that the background is almost eagerly green, and that brings the bird completely free of his background and gives all the details to the bird itself. And it's bird recognition, and a child can do the trick. It's almost too easy to make pictures like this.
Well, I suppose a heron is a bigger bird, a little bit slower than, say, a swift or a house martin or something. So they're a little bit bigger as well, which is a little bit easier, I think. But I still think birds in flight are really difficult. Not because I don't think the camera can keep up, but I can't keep up. And unless you know...
That's the biggest problem. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to know and understand the flight path and how a bird or a specific type of bird flies, because otherwise... You do this. That's me.
Yeah, that's correctly. A lot of people have a lot of problems with long lenses to keep the birds into focus, and especially where you don't know how birds fly and how they move. Like a woodpecker is always flying in waves, and as long as you know that you can move with the bird, otherwise you will move like this, and the bird just drops out the field, and then you cannot make the picture anymore.
Yeah, for sure. A little question from Chuck. Chuck says, do you use the optional LH115 lens hood with the 150 to 400? So basically, you always have the lens hood on, right?
Yeah.
All times. That's good to know.
Sometimes I use the built-in converter, the 1.25.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing I use sometimes. Further on,
and the joy about that converter is not a digital one, it's an optical one that drops in every time and drops out. And again, that's why the lens is quite pricey, because when you're dropping physical glass in and out all the time, there has to be no room for that lens to move out of position. So the engineering that it takes to allow that non-digital converter to go in and out every time, there's no room for error, is there? So again, that's why that lens is a bit more money. John Sparrow says, seems you really like enjoying the 150-400. Looks like I should keep saving my dollars.
It would be a wise thing to do, John. It would be a wise thing to do. You won't be disappointed.
Okay, we're down to our last few images. We have run over a bit. So this looks beautiful. What is this? It's got a very red face.
Yellow-billed cardinal. We have cardinals in the United States. It's a red cardinal, and then you have the crested cardinal, and then you have the yellow-billed cardinal. And this is a typical pro capture photograph. So looking at a place where they're starting to find some food, just pointing out, and then pro capture and hoping that the wings are positioned the way you really like them to freeze, and that these are the pictures you can make without any problems.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely beautiful. All of your, all your images are lovely. It's so nice to have, someone I haven't spoken to in ages on, because I get to look at all your beautiful images. And this, again, I love the water spray. How beautiful.
Again, against the light. I mean, it's later on the day. It's a lowland tapir. Normally spoken, you won't find these animals very easy, but because there's a dreadful drought in the Pantanal this year or last year, the tapirs are going to the places where there's still water left. So we saw 7 different species of tapirs during our trip. And then when they are in the water, they are boarded by a lot of mosquitoes. You can see the mosquitoes flying around the mouth. So sometimes they just shake their head with the water to get rid of the mosquitoes. So this was not the most beautiful picture, but the most beautiful animal, which we didn't expect to photograph like this. There are a couple of photographs in my head which I still want to make, like a moose somewhere in Canada in beautiful water with all kind of water plants and beautiful mountain ranges, but then a male moose, because the female moose already have, but now I'm looking for the male moose with big anglers. I still don't have that.
Okay.
And this from a tapir is one of the other.
So there's still some things on your hit list, some things.
Yes, like mermaids. I never see a mermaid. I still hope to photograph a mermaid.
You come to England, there's loads of those. Okay, I think this is your last image.
Not the last. The very last is the animal that I was really found.
We have a couple more to go then. So
only one.
This one. Beautiful.
This is the jaguar. It's one thing I was never able to photograph a jaguar while hunting a caiman or a capybara, but to be honest, to photograph and hunting a jaguar is not always that beautiful. Well, the excitement of what happens, that's perhaps for some people beautiful, but I rather like to make a picture like this, where the animal is laying, being happy with the place he is, with a beautiful background. I really love those trees in the background, because he was laying over there doing nothing and enjoying his life, which I did at the same moment also. And my customers over there also, they were really happy. We saw 7 jaguars in 4 or 5 days. So we had a lot of luck.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, I know for sure that the Pantanal is one of those sort of, the jaguar is almost like the one on the hit list, the one that you want to see if you can, right?
But the last picture is the one I hoped for, and that is the ocelot.
Wow, looking straight at you. Have you used flash here, or is this lights?
No, this is a place near a lodge where they have LED lights standing around, and the animal is coming to a certain place where sometimes put food on a branch, and that's the reason why you see him over there. So it's a little bit artificial,
Right.
but it's almost the only way to see an ocelot at live, because it is a nocturnal animal and it's very, very shy. But if you look at the EXIF data from this photo, you see that I used here ISO 10,000.
ISO.
Yeah.
Wow.
And to be honest, you get a noisy picture with 10,000 ISO because that's the way it is. But with our software we have with OM and also the software on Adobe Photoshop, you get rid of the noise very easily without losing any details. And that was in early days, that was really a problem. You got rid of the noise, but you also got rid of a lot of details. And that's not in the question anymore.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, I know we talk a lot about lenses and this, that, and the other, but if you own an EM body, not an OM body, it's definitely time to upgrade, because the difference in just the process alone is so big. I mean, I know everybody's heard me say that before, but it is so big that it just, you know, the EMs were great for their time, but the OM1, OM2, that's the processing power. It just knocks spots
totally off different level. Totally different level.
Yeah, it is.
And also the fact that the new bodies don't have any problem anymore with finding the eyes and getting sharp, focusing on the right time. Yeah. Also in low light conditions, it's so different from the early days. So
yeah, for sure.
Better than this you can get.
Wow. I know we covered a lot. I know it's a lot to talk about in an hour. You know, we cram a lot in and we can't always answer every question, especially because I'm chat and you know that, and we look at that. I will go back in and answer any questions, and again, Alexander, you can always go into the comments and answer any questions if you want to at a later date.
Yeah.
So just a quick run through. This is Alexander's Facebook page. If you are a Facebook user, it's Alexander Koenders Wildlife Photography. If you want to look at workshops and travel photography, it's www.npfl.netherlands or .nl. And then you can take a look at Alexander's website as well. We will be doing some more. You'll be seeing him again soon. As I said, it's been ages since we caught up, and I am definitely overdue having you on a live. I hope everybody's enjoyed the session. I know I certainly have. Hopefully, we'll be seeing you all again. You don't have Instagram, do you, Alexander?
Yes, I have Instagram.
Same. Alexander Koenders Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay. So just know how to spell the Koenders. It's Koenders. Nice and easy. Wonderful. I mean, what can I say? Thank you so much for joining us. You've had a lot of love. If you're out there, say a big thank you and share some love for Alexander. It's always good to look at those lovely comments. And we will probably see you again soon. But as far as that's from us, say goodbye, Alexander, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you very much. And don't hesitate to ask any questions by Instagram or Facebook or whatever. We see each other again somewhere in the future.
See you again
Bye-bye.
soon. Take care, everybody.